All right, everyone. Well, welcome to our third Zoom in series talk. Marco Island Historical Society has gone virtual along with so many others during these really difficult times that have changed a lot of how we live our lives. But we are very, very pleased to be able to continue to preserve and share the history of Marco Island and the surrounding community with you. And that includes our natural history. So today we have with us Mr. Bob McConville, and many of you, I think, probably know Bob. He's got quite the following here on Marco Island, and when we were doing our live programming, Bob certainly drew a great audience, and today we have 60 people here on with us to view, and we had over 80 actually register, so hopefully more will be joining in. Let me tell you just a little bit about Bob, and then I will turn the program over to him. Bob is a Florida master naturalist, and he's also the author of 2 books, right, Bob? Is it 2?
That's correct.
Okay. He enjoys greatly contributing to nature articles to some of our local papers, such as the Coastal Breeze News. He's a regular speaker at several venues throughout South Florida, not just the Marco Island Historical Society. He's a very popular speaker. And grateful for the knowledge and time that others have dedicated to him and to helping him. So Bob is always happy to return that favor by delivering a really great program for his audience. So with that, I will turn it over to Bob, and then I'll be back after his presentation to talk to you a little bit more. So Bob, I turn it to you.
Great. Thank you, Pat. Appreciate that. All right. Pardon me. Hi, folks, and welcome. Gosh, it's a little different medium than we're used to having here for a presentation. So looking forward to bring some information to you. We are in birthing season right now here in the north end of Marco Island with our dolphin population. So we're going to talk a little bit about what happened in 2018, 2019, and the few new births that we have here for this year so far. So we're going to get into our presentation. Do I hit share screen? Mm-hmm. I want to make sure I do this right and not disconnect 60 people here. All right. All right, so I've got my screen up, but I'm not able to go forward or back. Give me just 1 second, technical difficulties.
You know, this is such a new medium for us, and so we're all learning as we go. So we'll just take our time.
Okay. All right. Okay, I think we're all set now, so I apologize for that. So yeah, how's everybody doing? Don't be shy, just go ahead and yell out into your computers there. And yeah, I can hear okay, it sounds like everybody's doing good. That's good to know. So thanks so much for joining us. It's good to be back at the Marco Island Historical Society. Really miss giving live presentations here. Really miss the friends that we have coming to the presentations all the time. So to all of you, I hope everything is going very, very well for everyone and that you're all staying healthy and following all the good guidelines that are out there for us to follow. So we're going to get into a few things here. As Pat mentioned, my name's Bob. Master naturalist, certified at the University of Florida, and basically the main naturalist on the Dolphin Explorer at this point in time. Dolphin Explorer is actually a dolphin study boat that we actually go out into the rivers, and for 14 years now, we've been monitoring the activity of the dolphin population here in the Marco River. So pretty important information that we're gathering, pretty important things that we're doing, and we're actually sharing our information over the last year with about 20 agencies around the world. So when we do our study, we gather data on each and every venture that we go out. That data goes into our database. That database every quarter is shared with, again, folks from around the world. So people in Australia, Hawaii, you name it, basically they know what we're doing here in Marco Island. So the Marco Dolphins are pretty popular worldwide right now. So it's kind of fun to see that going here. So boy, what a crazy year we had, huh? All kind of demonstrations going on, riots happening all over the place. It's an election year. Very, very interesting. I think in the, well, I'm kind of young, so the 32 years that I've been alive, that, this is probably the most important election that I've seen come up. So, if you are a voter, hopefully you're a voter, get out and follow your heart, follow your gut, and make your best choice. So we're down to two choices here, 330 million people in America, and we're down to two choices, and hopefully they're the best ones, but definitely follow your hearts there. The economy, golly, again, up and down. And the main reason the economy's been up and down is because of the virus that we've got going on. It actually affected the Dolphin Explorer very severely. We were running trips twice a day, beginning in January up to mid-March. And then everything just came to a screeching halt. From mid-March until May 3rd, we didn't run any trips at all. And then we had to start going back out on a limited basis. So only a few people were able to get out on the boat with us and share the opportunity to see what our dolphin were doing. Future plans, up in the air right now. I hear, I tune into the Convention and Visitors Bureau here, Paradise Coast, and they have some great information. They're a good source if you want to find out what's going on in South Florida. They're always interviewing folks about, what's going on at the airport, what's the passenger count, how are things, going in general with traffic flow in the hotels. And it's amazing how the flow of traffic at the airport coincides with what the tourist industry is doing. If the airport is down 60 or 70%, it seems like the tourism is down 60 or 70%. If they're down 30%, tourism's down 30%. So it's amazing just how that all coincides together. This is a picture of me and my wife. I'm the one on the left. And my wife, Kathy, is on the right here. And gosh, she is one of these superheroes you hear about. She is a nurse here at the urgent care on Marco Island for NCH. And she is on the front lines every day. People come into the clinic before they even get to the hospital and say, I'm not feeling well. So she actually has to get out there and work with them and diagnose sometimes if they do or don't have COVID before they even get to a hospital setting. So very, very proud of her, proud to be married to her. She is definitely my better half. And again, I just love the idea that, she's been doing such great things, and she is a superhero. So if you see her on the streets or down at the clinic, definitely give her a pat on the back. She's a great lady. Yeah. Yeah. People in the back here clapping. I can hear you guys clapping too. I appreciate that. So one thing that Kathy and I did when this pandemic started, we found ourselves with a lot of time on our hands. And so our social, whole behavior changed. We used to go out to dinner once in a while, go to a movie or so, and we find ourselves sitting at home. And, we'd like to have an occasional glass of wine, and we'd like some ice cream once in a while. And after a while, we found ourselves, getting a little bit hefty there. So we gained a little bit of weight, and we kind of discovered the errors of our way. So we started to get back on an exercise program. And within about 6-7 weeks, we were both looking pretty fit there. Kathy actually let her hair grow, dyed it blonde. I actually grew some hair. And we got ourselves back to a good fit lifestyle there. So we're both doing well, and I hope you are all doing well as well. So basically, we're here to talk about dolphins. As Pat mentioned, I've got a couple books out, Beyond the Mangrove Trees and Beneath the Emerald Waves. I've got another book coming out. Hopefully it'll be out by Christmas, Beneath the Emerald Waves again. And these are going to be true stories and profiles of the Southwest bottlenose dolphins that we have right here in the Marco area. So if you want to get on a waiting list, or if you want to pre-order a book, you can email me at dolphinsofmarco@yahoo.com. And we also have another business now, Wild Florida Eco tours@yahoo.com. And either one of those, you can just send your name in and I can hold a book for you. And when they do come out, I'll make sure you're the first people to have them. Be happy to sign them for you. Be happy to, personalize them for you if you're sending them to a friend. And I'll sign anything that you want. I love you from Tom Cruise or whatever you want me to put in there. I'll be very, very happy to do that. So let's talk about a little bit about what's going on here. The Dolphin Explorer, as we mentioned, was down for about 6 or 7 weeks in the prime part of season, but we had been back on the water since May 3rd. And we've been following our dolphin activity. So why do we do this? We just don't go out to show people the dolphins and give them, pretty names or funny names so everybody can have a great time on the boat. I hope everybody has a great time on the boat, but the primary purpose for doing this is to track the dolphin behavior. And what we're doing with our dolphin study right here, we can compare notes with people from around the world to see what the dolphin behavior is doing there as well. So we can get a dolphin's travel range. We follow their genealogy. So we see a dolphin born. Those new babies are going to stay with mom for 3 to 4 years. Once they leave mom's side, we're tracking them as well. Mom's going to have a few more babies. Those little ones grow up and they're having their own babies. We're actually in our 3rd generation now. We have a couple dolphin grandmothers out in the water that we know of. So imagine that, finding a grandmother on Marco Island. But the Dolphin Explorer, we are located at the Rose Marina on Bald Eagle Drive here on Marco Island. We get out hopefully every day. We try and get out every day to get a good look at our dolphins, take all the information we can that goes into our database, and again, goes worldwide with our publications. So we invite you to come out in Dolphin Explorer and see what we do. There's a picture of our boat. It's a 49 passenger boat. With the current social restrictions going on, we only take a maximum of about 24, 25 people per trip now. And the boat is sanitized every morning. We do have hand sanitizer at 2 locations on the boat. If you look to the far left of the boat, that little cubicle back there, we have a restroom on the boat as well. So we're doing everything that we can to comply with all the social distancing rules, everything we can to make everybody feel as safe and comfortable on our boat as they can. Dolphinstudy.com is the name of our website. Now, as far as we mentioned about tracking our dolphins, if you go onto our website, dolphinstudy.com, you'll see a little prompt that says Dolphin Tracker. Click on that, and then you can click on a little entry that says database. Now, if you go to the database, you're going to see the names of every dolphin that we've identified here in the water. You can click on every individual name or any individual name of dolphins in that database. And we actually have a biography on each and every dolphin out here. And as things happen in the water, just for example, 2 of our moms so far this year have had new babies. All that information will be put into our database so that you can see and keep up with your favorite dolphins tomorrow, a week from tomorrow, a year from tomorrow, and see exactly what's happening with their family and the dolphins that you may have met on a trip in the past. The tracker program as well. Again, we track our dolphins very, very well. We know the range of most of our dolphins. If we don't see them in our travel area, we know that they got a larger travel range than we're covering. So we'll have to extend things a little bit that way and kind of guess and figure about where they're actually going. All right. Also started another company. My heart and soul is with the Dolphin Explorer. That's without a doubt, that's where I live. That's what I do. And that's what I intend to do for a long, long time. But we felt a need to open a second company down at Port of the Islands. If you're not familiar with Port of the Islands, if you're here on Marco Island, you take San Marco Road all the way out. It'll dead end at US 41. Turn right, and exactly 6 miles down the road, there is a little community called Port of the Islands. And Port of the Islands actually has a hotel down there. They have a restaurant. There's a whole residential community, and there's 184 boat slips down there. And of those boat slips there, some are designated for commercial use. And we have a couple of those boat slips that are reserved for us for commercial use. We take out some eco tours there. We're doing a 2.5-hour nature tour down there. So you can get on the boat, 4 to 6 people. So very, very small. If you got a family and you want a private tour, that's very, very doable. 4 to 6 people on a 2.5-hour tour. We do in a 3.5-hour tour as well. And that 3.5-hour tour, you'll actually get a chance to stop on one of the barrier beaches. Now, the beaches down in that area, most people have never been to before. If you haven't heard of White Horse Key or Hog Key or Four Brothers Keys, Panther Key, those areas, basically not a whole lot of people have been down there. It's a really, really unique area to get out and discover. The pristine waters, once you leave the Port of the Islands basin, you won't see another house for another 2 hours once you're on the water. So very, very exclusive, very, very wild part of Florida to be in, and lots of wildlife. There's a Manatee Refuge Center right down there in the channel. We see dolphins quite a bit. We have the freshwaters from the Faki Union Canal running right into the Port of the Islands. That means we have alligators there as well. So you can see gators, manatees, and dolphins all in one trip, and quite a bit of our exotic bird life as well. Manatees, there we go. So the Manatee Refuge is right there. That is controlled and kept up by Rookery Bay. Alligators are down there. We have the freshwaters meeting the saltwater, so low brackish area. That's what's called when freshwater and saltwater meet and come together, brackish water. So we have alligators right there in the basin as well. Variety of bird life. Dolphins are out there. I've seen some red-shouldered hawks. We've seen swallowtail kites down there. And just this past week, for the first time of this year, I saw some white pelicans flying by. That would have been last Tuesday, 7 days ago. I was actually on the water Sunday night as well. Sunday night, about 4:15 in the afternoon, we saw a V-shaped formation of birds heading north to south, came right over the boat. There's another 30 or 40 white pelicans that were coming by as well. These guys come down here all the way from Canada, central United States, northwestern United States, and travel down here for the winter when it gets a little bit too cold for them to forage for food up in that area. And we have them by the hundreds down here. So they're just arriving in the area. Second largest wingspan of any bird in North America, second only to the California condor. So very, very large wingspans, 9.5 feet. They're about twice to 2.5 times the size of the brown pelicans that you see down here. So some pretty interesting things to find down here in South Florida. And welcome, these are the original snowbirds. So welcome to them to South Florida. Okay, let's get into some birthing information here. So birthing season in this section of the world, in Marco River, primarily in the fall. So September, October, November, that's when we see most of our births. Now, dolphins can be born anytime but for some of the year, but for some reason in this section of the world, we see the majority of our births taking place in the fall. Don't know exactly why. If you go up the coastline to Sarasota, Florida, it's completely different. They see their births up there during the summer. If you go out in the Gulf of Mexico, just 15 miles off of the Marco Island, it's a whole different season out there. It's the summer. If you go to the other coast of Florida, up around Indian River, it's usually April and August that they see their newborns. So why they're born here at this time of year, haven't figured that out. So I don't know if it has something to do with the fall season or the changes of weather or the changes in barometric pressure possibly that will affect what the dolphins do. But we see the births here in this section of the world primarily in the fall. Now in 2018, if you're looking at your graph here, you'll see that we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mothers listed and 10 calves. So we had 10 new babies born in the year of 2018. And in 2018, on the far right-hand side down there, you'll see a mom named Cintas and a calf named Gypsy, and there's an asterisk next to Gypsy's name. Unfortunately, Gypsy did not survive. So there are some predators out here in the water that the young babies have to watch out for. And primarily that's going to be the bull sharks and the hammerhead sharks that we have in the area. So Gypsy's calf, or excuse me, Cintas's calf, Gypsy, did not survive that year. If you go down to 2019, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mothers listed. And we have a few more asterisks there. Wrangell had a calf named Piper, did not survive. Halfway had a calf named Ben, did not survive. And I need to add an asterisk next to Victoria, had a calf named Gypsy with a SY instead of SIE like Cintas had. And Gypsy did not survive either. So again, there are some predators. If you count up the total there, we had 19 babies born in 2018 and 2019 combined. Of those 19 babies born, 15 survive. So we've got a survival rate of babies born making it to their first and second birthdays of about 75 to 80%. Worldwide, the number of dolphins that make it to their third birthday, less than 50%. We're in this area here, the number of babies that make it to their third birthday, again, 75 to 80%. So that tells me two good things. First of all, we have a good, clean ecosystem. Secondly, it tells us that we don't have a lot of large predators in the area. And that's pretty obvious if you study the Marco Island coastline. We have a very, very shallow coastline. You can go out 3, 4, 5, 6 miles offshore and still only be in 20, 25 feet of water. So you're not going to get jaws coming back into this area. You're going to have your normal sharks like the bull sharks, nurse sharks, the hammerheads, those type of sharks come into the area. And the babies, when they're born, they're only going to be about 2.5 to 3 feet long, maybe 25 or 30 pounds. So they're just going to be like a big fish for some of these sharks out here. So they do have to watch out for the sharks when they're born. So 19 babies born in 2018 and 2019 combined. 15 of them surviving. Just saw 2018 Kaya and Ariel. We were out on the boat on a trip this morning. Kaya and Ariel were having a great time. They were up in the channel that takes you back into Collier Bay, just off the Marco River. And I'll post some pictures on my Facebook page later today. But they were just kind of flip-flopping and throwing each other in the air, having a ball. It was just really, really neat to see them playing and being as healthy as they are. So it was good to see them having a great time out there. Also in 2018, we saw Peyton and Marvel today. Peyton's baby, Marvel, 2 years old as well. So we were able to see both of them today. And, you know, all the babies that we have here that are alive seem to be doing quite well. Now, this is, we identify our dolphins by markings on their dorsal fin. So dolphins are mammals. They have to come up to breathe air. And when they do come up to breathe, we always see this fin on their back, just like we have a picture here. And the fin on the back, dolphins like to kind of nip at each other's fins. It's just one of their social behaviors. It's something standard that they do. And they'll actually rake their teeth across another dolphin's dorsal fin. And when they get to the back edge of that fin, you'll see some nicks and notches and marks appear like we have here. This dolphin has one big mark right in the middle of her fin, halfway down from the top, halfway down from the bottom, up from the bottom. And this dolphin's name is Halfway. So pretty scientific how we do all the naming on this stuff here. So you'll see one little notch that Halfway's gotten in the last year. So the notches will definitely change on the dolphins over a period of time. We have catalogs on the boat to basically show you pictures of all the dolphins that we've identified in the area. So those pictures and those catalogs will be updated once a year. So every January, right after birthing season, we get a look at all the dolphins' fins. I have a folder on every dolphin out there in the water on my computer. And the most recent photos will be the photos that are put into the new catalog. So this dolphin here, as we mentioned, is named Halfway. Right below Halfway's fin, you'll see a very, very small fin, and that was Ben. So this picture was taken about 11 months ago. Ben was just born, tiny little guy. We did see after about 5 or 6 weeks that Ben was a boy. How do you tell a boy from a girl when you see a dolphin in the water? Well, you know, if they come up and wink at me, I'm assuming it's a girl. Could be wrong. But, you know, no, basically just by looking at a dolphin, you really can't tell if a dolphin is a male or a female. It's social behavior over a period of time. Also, when dolphins are socializing, sometimes they'll roll around, roll over each other, and sometimes it's very, very obvious that you have a boy. That was the case with Ben when he was about 4 weeks old, 5 weeks old. We did see Ben come up out of the water and notice that he definitely was a boy, so we marked that down on our notes immediately. So this would be Halfway. She is one of the most productive moms we have in the water. This lady has been having a new baby every 3 years like clockwork since 2004. So 2004, she gave birth to Seymour. 2007, she gave birth to Simon. 2010, Kaya came along. We just talked about Kaya a second ago. 2013, Skipper was born. 2016, Wyatt was born. And 2019, Ben was born. Now, we mentioned in the previous slide, if you look next to Halfway's name in 2019, there's an asterisk next to Ben. So Ben did not survive. We saw Ben till about the second week of August and then did not see him anymore. But immediately after Ben was out of the picture, we saw Halfway being followed by two of our adult males. Their names are Hatchet and Capri. So birthing season, mating season are both in the fall. That means the pregnancy period for an adult female is 1 full year. So Halfway was being tracked almost immediately when Ben was gone by two of our big boys. She has always had a baby by her side since we've known her since 2004. So in my mind, I think it's very, very, very probable that she's going to be giving birth again here this fall, and more than likely later in the fall. So we stopped seeing Ben in mid-October. If it took her a month or so to get pregnant again, mid-November, say, I would expect to see a new calf from Halfway sometime in November this year. And we'll go back one more time to the 2018 births. We mentioned Cintas. Cintas had a calf named Gypsy, didn't survive. Cintas, if you go down to 2019, you'll see that Cintas had a baby named Jimbo. So when Gypsy disappeared from the picture, just like Halfway, Cintas was being courted by several males immediately. She gave birth about 14 months later to Jimbo. So 2018, she gave a birth. 2019, she gave a birth to Jimbo. So she's got a couple little ones out there that basically Jimbo is still by her side and doing very well. And in fact, if you want to get a better look at Jimbo, we'll go right back to our cover photo here. Oh. There's Jimbo. So Jimbo, this picture was taken when Jimbo was about 4 months old or so. So he just kind of popped up out of the water. Mom was right below him. Cintas was right below this little guy, and kind of popped him up in the air for us to take a picture. All right, so this dolphin here, you'll see a different marking on the fin. So on the back of the fin there, the left side of the fin, there's almost a rectangular notch down at the bottom of the fin. And this would be one of our adult females named Rakes. Now, Rakes just had a baby last year, and her baby's name is Sand Dollar. And Sand Dollar would be the fin that you see to the left of the picture. So Rakes, very productive mom as well. This is her third new baby that we know of here in the water. So Sand Dollar's doing very, very well, a year old. Just saw Sand Dollar 2 weeks ago out in the water, so doing great as well. This is Dolly. Dolly has a little snip out of the top of the fin. So again, we can tell by looking at the fins which dolphin is which. This is her new baby last year named Kalani. Kalani is a Hawaiian word that means the royal one. Now, the baby's names. When we see a new baby for the first time, we let the people on the boat name the dolphins. So sometimes we get some pretty peculiar names, I should say. And we get a lot of our dolphins named after food. You know, we ask people to be gender neutral about things. So when you say something neutral, they all seem to gravitate to food. So out in the water, we have chip and dip and guac and salsa. There's meatball and muffin are out there, pancake, popcorn, nibbles, cocoa, all these dolphins named after food. So maybe we not eat a little bit before we come on the boat here and make it a look at some better names here. But Dolly's new calf, Kalani, doing well as a 1-year-old. And Dolly's other calves are doing quite well as well. Dolly has a 4-year-old named Parton. We'll introduce you to Parton in just a few minutes. So when they were side by side, we had Dolly and Parton. Okay, so this guy here, this is one of our youngsters here. So you'll see that when babies are born, they don't have any marks on their fin. When they come out of the womb, they are pristine. They are very, very new, no marks at all on their fins, and they'll start gathering those marks over a period of time. So as they're socializing with other dolphins will come up and nip on their fins, and we'll start to see those nicks and notches and marks appear. So again, once they're young, you can see on Kalani here, no new markings on the fin there. And then same with this youngster here, no markings on the fin as well, but they will start getting some markings here over a period of time. Now, this guy here is named Popcorn, another one of our food dolphins. One notch right in the middle of the fin. The fin is very straight above that notch, and then it kind of comes back on about a 10 to 15 degree angle. So what's so special about Popcorn? I just took this picture Saturday. Popcorn was out in the water by himself. And here's another look at Popcorn. Now, Popcorn's mom's name is Nibbles. Here's a picture of Nibbles' fin. So this is mom. Now, the really unique thing about nibbles and popcorn, when they're together, they live about 6 or 7 miles north of the Jolly Bridge. So if you go up the Marco River, turn right at the Isle of Capri and keep on going past the entrance to Rookery Bay, up behind Keewaydin Island, that's where she likes to hang out, except for 2 times, when she wants to mate and when she wants to have her babies. And she always comes back down under the Jolly Bridge. So last summer, last July, we saw Nibbles and Popcorn. Popcorn was 3 at the time, come down under the Jolly Bridge. And we were thinking, okay, this is pretty cool. Popcorn's 3, so there's a good chance that Nibbles is pregnant. But they kind of stuck around for a while, and then they went back up behind Keewaydin Island again. So we kind of figured, okay, Nibbles, this is where she gives birth, is down by the Jolly Bridge. So she didn't have a baby this year, but she came down here to mate. She knows where her boyfriends are. So she probably told Popcorn, and go over there by the mangroves for a short while. I'm going to go visit with the boys, and I'll be back in a little while. And here we are 1 year later, and Popcorn is out on its own. The reason Popcorn is out on its own, there's Nibbles' new babies. We just saw this little guy about 3 weeks ago. Baby's name is Murphy. And Murphy is out there in the water doing well. Nibbles, again, another one of our superior moms as far as raising her young and having her young do very, very well. So Popcorn spent 4 years next to Mom's side, or halfway. All of her youngsters spent 3 years next to her side. So if Mom doesn't have a baby when that youngster is 3 years old, the youngster might just stick around for an extra year for that schooling, get that fishing skill down a little bit more before they actually go on their own. This is another one of our newborn for this year. The mom's name is Destiny. The new baby, this would be Destiny's child, also known as Mango. So Mango is here in the water, probably about the same age as Murphy, about 3 weeks old right now. So they were actually playing in the wave of a boat, and we got them to both pop up, and Mango just stuck his face out in the sunshine there and gave us a nice picture. So Destiny is one of our new moms. She has a 3-year-old named Irma. So she gave birth to a new little baby right after Hurricane Irma came through the area. And they named the baby after the hurricane. So that was in the fall of 2017. 3 years later, Irma has basically learned everything it can from Mom out on its own, and out on its own when it was about 34 months old. And Mom does that if she knows she's having a new baby. She'll send that 3-year-old out on its own. That gives her time to prepare and get ready for a new one. And Mango is here next to Mom's side right now. And again, we actually saw these two for the first time down by the Jolly Bridge. So when dolphins are born, basically they're going to be born in shallow water. And we're going to go over that in detail in just a few moments. Just took this picture yesterday. This is a picture of one of our adult females named Jing Jing. Jing Jing was actually struck by a boat propeller when she was very young. You can see markings on the front of the fin rather than the back of the fin from that boat propeller strike. Now, Jing Jing has a 3-year-old as well named Jordan. When Jordan was 34 months old, Jing Jing sent Jordan out on its own. Gave us an idea that Jing Jing might be pregnant. And sure enough, she's got a pretty big belly on her here. We expect her to give birth here in the next 30 days or so as well. So we'll keep an eye out on a new calf from Jing Jing. But Jing Jing, very, very playful. Even as a young dolphin away from Mom, she would hear a boat coming and just come screaming from 200, 300 yards away just to play next to that boat or play in the wave of that boat. And she has definitely passed that on to her offspring, Jordan. Jordan is a very, very playful dolphin as well. We see Jordan out there doing very, very well on its own as a 3-year-old, hanging around some of the other young adults, also hanging around the other moms and babies as well. Okay, so the birthing process. Dolphins are mammals. So dolphins are going to give a live birth. That's one thing that's very indicative of mammals. They're also warm-blooded, and all mammals have hair. Have you ever seen hair on dolphins? Got a little bit of hair right there on their chin, so that would classify them as a mammal. And dolphins, when they give birth, a lot of mammals, when they give birth, they're born head first. Dolphins, when they give birth, the baby is born tail first. And they're born tail first for a reason, because they're born underwater. Dolphins breathe through an opening at the top of their head. That would be that blowhole. So it used to be millions and millions of years ago, dolphins had their nose at the end of their rostrum. So that long bottled nose that they used to have a breathing apparatus, just like our nostrils at the end of that nose. But over a period of time, evolution has taken place and they now breathe through that blowhole on top of their head. So if you think about it, if a baby is born head first, the birthing process takes about 30 to 45 minutes. And if that baby is being pushed out by mom and that head is exposed underwater, and the rest of the baby is still in the womb and it still needs another 15 or 20 minutes to come out, that blowhole is exposed underwater and not able to get any air. So Mother Nature said, let's turn things around. Let's have the baby born tail first. And that way, as mom is pushing and the baby is exposed, the last thing to be exposed is going to be that blowhole. And when the birth is complete, mom will actually get under that baby, lift it to the surface, and give that baby an opportunity to get his first breath. So mom will actually help with the birthing process. Sometimes it's not unusual to have a couple females around as well, and they can actually help mom bring that little one to the surface as well. So pretty neat process, excuse me. A very, very neat process that we see with the dolphin birth. So they're born tail first, and the mom will bring the baby right up to the surface to help get his first breath. And that'll get that baby going, and that baby will stick right next to mom's side. It's the only protection that baby knows. The babies are born, they don't have good sight. They don't have an echolocation that's really, really working. Echolocation is that sonar-like program that the dolphins use to locate their prey and their predators as well. So that's not really kicking in yet. So they're going to be streamlining right next to mom's side until they get some of their skills going. And it's the only food source that the babies know as well. So dolphins are mammals, so the babies are going to nurse from mother's milk. So mom has two mammary ports at the lower portion of her stomach, and those babies will attach to mom's mammary ports underwater. Now, puppies and kittens will stay attached to mom for quite a long time, but they can breathe air while they're nursing. Dolphins are underwater while they're nursing. So mom will actually regulate exactly how much nutrition that baby gets. She'll actually push milk out through that mammary port to the youngster and regulate exactly how much nutrition is going to be given. And the milk from mom is more like a milkshake texture. It's very, very thick, and basically the baby will get that, shape their tongue almost in the shape of a straw. Mom will push it out. There's no waste, and that baby will get plenty of nutrition. So they'll nurse several times, over a very, very short period of time to keep getting nutrition as they go on in their life. So this is Ariel. Ariel is one of our 2-year-olds and loves to play. Ariel is the son of Kaya. Kaya is the daughter of Halfway. We mentioned Halfway is one of our most productive dolphins in the area. So Kaya, dolphins, when they mature, they'll usually mature at about ages 8 through 12. Kaya actually became pregnant when she was 7 years old, gave birth at 8 years old. So Ariel was born when mom Kaya was 8 years old. Kaya was born in 2010. Ariel was born in 2018. So Kaya got pregnant at age 7, gave birth at age 8. Ariel is now 2 years old. Now the babies are going to be feeding from mother's milk for about 18 to 24 months. So at 2 years old now, Ariel is all done nursing. And once they stop nursing, that means mom can be in a mood to start mating again. So she doesn't have to produce milk anymore. Her system's going to change. And we have seen Kaya being followed by a couple of our big males lately. So Ariel, 2 years old. If you look at the picture, you can see the teeth are fully erupted through the jaw. That actually happened about 1.25 years ago. At about 9 months old, the babies will have their teeth fully through. So if they have their teeth through and they're still nursing, doesn't that hurt mom? If you look close at the top, very, very tip of that rostrum, there are no teeth there. So the babies can still attach to the mammary port, get milk without injuring mom, and then they can start their fishing skills also when they're about 9 months old. So right now, Ariel fishing on its own. Mom, 2 years old, or baby 2 years old. Mom is probably pregnant or getting pregnant here very, very soon. If she takes after halfway, her mom, she's going to be giving birth every 3 years. So we'll look for Ariel to be out on its own here in about a year or so. Dolphins just love to play. Geez, so playful, like Ariel. Geez, I wish I could tell you. It's amazing just to be on the water with these creatures as much as I am. It's like watching your family grow up. You see these infants following mom right next to mom's side, and then they get out and start playing, and then they get away from mom, and they're still, continuing to play. And they just love to jump, whether there's a boat there or if it's just a wave. I've seen some big boats go down the river, and the dolphins, after the big boats go by, the wake of that boat, the boat might be 50 yards, 100 yards down the river, and they're still riding that wave. So it's just absolutely amazing how they used to play. And if you think about it, before there were boats in the area 200-300 years ago, the dolphins used to just ride the waves out there in the Gulf. So they have a lot of fun. They have a pretty difficult life. They eat, sleep, and play, kind of like my brother-in-law. Okay, so here's our mom, Jing Jing, was on the right, and this is her baby, Jordan. We talked to Jordan, just went out on its own. And again, Jing Jing is just very, very playful mom. She's taught Jordan to do the same thing. Jordan has just got a great attitude about playing in the wild. We saw Jordan this morning playing with some other dolphins, another mom and a calf, and a couple other dolphins about her own age, 3 and 4 years old. So Jordan doing very, very well, again, on its own. And hopefully we'll see mom. You can see mom, Jing Jing, looks a lot thinner in this picture than we showed in the previous picture. So she's got a pretty big belly on her right now, and we expect her to give birth pretty soon. All right, we talked about reintroducing you to Parton. So this is Dolly's calf, Parton. And we also mentioned that there are some dangers in the water for the younger dolphins. Right here, Parton, this picture was taken when Parton was about 15 months old. You'll see a huge scar right over the eye. And you'll see another scar extending up from the eye over the back. And if you look to the left of the dolphin, where the head meets the water line, you'll see the rest of that scar. So this dolphin was actually bitten by a bull shark twice. So bitten up on the back and was able to get away. Bitten a second time over the eye and was able to pull loose again. So we were quite concerned about the eyesight being affected. And we thought for sure that the eye, if it's injured, we might have to call an agency to come down and have Parton taken to a facility where it could live out its life. We have been involved in 2 dolphin rescues in the past, both of them very, very successful. Both of them involved the dolphin staying in the wild after that rescue. So that's we're very, very happy and very proud about that. So Parton was bitten by a shark twice. And again, concerned about the injuries. We had a very, very careful watch on this dolphin. And you can get a better look at the bite on the back here from this angle. And you can get a great look at that blowhole on the top of the head there as well. So this is the bite on the back. And then we saw in the previous photo, the bite over the eye. So bitten twice, was able to get free. And about 4 months later, this is how we saw Parton. So out there playing just like all the other young dolphins do. Those scars will remain for life. You can still see the big scar on the back. You can see the scar very, very obvious around the eye. We were convinced that the eyesight was not affected at all. So Parton is now 4 years old and doing very, very well in the wild. This happened when Parton was about 15 months old. So we're almost about 3 years later, and Parton doing great. Left mom's side. Mom's name was Dolly. And again, so Parton left mom's side last year when Dolly had that new baby, Kalani. Dolphins love to feed. It's a good portion of their day. And these guys will eat a lot of fish. Not too many people realize it, but the dolphins that we have in this area, they can get pretty big. We just saw 2 of our big males this morning, Hatchet and Capri. Now, Capri is a big boy. If you ever saw him come out of the water, kind of like we had here, this guy jumping, if you saw Capri jumping like that, he looks like a 55-gallon drum coming out of the water. He weighs about 600 pounds. So he's a pretty big boy. Now, Capri, 600 pounds, those guys are going to go through a lot of fish. We estimate that they eat about, I would say, 25 to 30 pounds of fish a day. And some of these dolphins, I've read a report that they can eat up to about 6 to 8% of their body weight every day in fish. So if Parton's weighing 600 pounds and he's eating 8% of his body weight every day, that's about 48 pounds of fish. And you got to think too, that these moms that are having new babies right now, these moms, they're going to eat about 20 pounds of fish a day. Once they have a new baby, they not only have to keep their strength up, but they have to produce milk for that young. So they're going to be eating an extra 5 to 10 pounds of fish every day just to produce milk to make sure they have nourishment for that youngster as well. So they eat quite a bit of fish out there, and there is a plentiful amount of fish. So the dolphins that we have here don't migrate. They stay in the area their entire lives. We've been doing this study here for 14 years. 85% of the dolphins we've identified in that period of time stay right in our area. That's how we're able to get our catalogs together. That's why we're able to get a good study on the dolphins here, and year after year, month after month, day after day, keep track of where they go, who they're associating with, where they feed, where they socialize, and we can get a good book because they don't migrate. Now, dolphins out in the deep water, they have a whole different society, a whole different way of behaving out there. Dolphins in the deep water, they're going to migrate because of the change of seasons and the currents, or they're going to have their food supply moving. So if the food supply is on the move, those dolphins are on the move. Dolphins in deep water can actually migrate as much as 500 to 800 miles a year. And again, they're following their food source. So the babies that are born out there, guess what they're taught immediately? Come on, we got to move. So they're going to migrate with the rest of the dolphins, and that's the lifestyle that they know. The dolphins here in our area, we are surrounded by a great mangrove forest. And those mangrove trees, the red mangrove trees, have a very, very tangled and weaved root system. So it's a great hiding place for the shrimp and the crabs and the little fish. And that'll bring over the bigger fish, and the dolphin. So we have a whole marine food chain that takes advantage of feeding along these mangrove trees. So when our new babies are born, immediately they're watching mom feed along the base of these mangrove trees. So as they get to a point where they're ready to feed, they're going to be feeding along these mangrove trees and the sandbars. And now that humans are here, along the seawalls and the docks as well. So for 3 years next to mom's side, they've been taught where to feed. So when they leave mom's side at 3 or 4 years old, guess where they know how to feed? Yep, those mangrove trees, that's their Winn-Dixie. That dock over there, that's their Publix. That's their Lucky supermarket over there. So they know exactly where to go to get their food. There's no reason to migrate. They know exactly where their food supply is. Mom taught them where to get it. Mom didn't travel great distances, but they got their food supply right in the area. So the dolphins here don't migrate. They stay right in this area their whole lives. Again, 85% of the dolphins we've identified over a 14-year period will stay right in their area. That's how we get to know them so well. That's how we can transfer this information to you. And this is how we can transfer information to people around the world about what our dolphins are doing here in this section of the world. This is one of our big boys, Notch, and we talked about how big they get. Notch is a pretty big guy. You can see that belly on him. He is easily a 500-pound dolphin here. One of our big males, we just saw him this morning as well, following Peyton and Marvel around. Peyton's baby is 2 years old, not nursing from mom anymore. So guess what? She might be in the mood to start mating again. So Notch was kind of following Marvel's mom, Peyton, around a little bit today as well. So pretty neat stuff going on out there. Okay, so that's about it. You know, the baby dolphins this year, so far we've seen 2. Now, I do think that we're going to have some more. We mentioned that a couple of our females in 2019 lost their babies. One of them was Wrangle. Wrangle had a baby named Piper, did not survive. Halfway always had a baby by her side since we've known her. Ben did not survive last year. So this is the first year that we have seen Halfway without a little one by her side. So very, very probable that she's pregnant right now, but they lost their babies in October. So by the time they get pregnant, 12 months pregnancy period again, we don't expect to see a baby from these moms until probably November. Victoria and Gypsy, we saw Gypsy several times all the way up until December. So, you know, Victoria might be having a baby, might be later in the year, or she might just skip a year and say, hey, you know, mating season was over. I'm really not in the mood. So we're just going to skip a year and we'll see what happens down the road there. So great information about the dolphins that we have here. We have 2 new babies that we know of. I still have 7 females on our list, Because of the virus, we don't get out on the water as much as we used to. So not being on the water as often as we have been in the past basically means we don't see as many dolphins that we had in the past. So there may be 3 or 4 or 5 more dolphins out there that have babies, and we just haven't come across them yet. So we've got our fingers crossed that we're going to see more dolphin as time go by. And we'll keep you posted on everything that's going on with the dolphin world out there. So I think we have some time for some questions now. If anybody wants to chime in with any questions, we're happy to answer them for you.
We have 4 in queue, and there's one that actually came in through chat. So maybe I can read that one to you, and you could start with that one, and then there's a few
Very
others.
good.
So the first one that came in through chat was how long before babies are able to reproduce?
Certainly. So the females will start. We'll put it this. We'll go right from birth. So a baby next to mom's side is called a calf, and they'll leave mom's side at about 3 or 4 years old. At that point in time, they are called a subadult. They're not an adult immediately. They are considered a subadult. They're not a calf anymore. They're on their way to adulthood, so we call them a subadult. The females will generally mature at about 8 to 10 years old. The males will mature at about 10 to 12 years old. So just like humans, the boys never grow up. And so the females maturing at about 8 to 10 years old. But what we've known recently here, Jing Jing was a January baby, so born in January of 2010. She actually got pregnant when she was 6 years and 8 months old, gave birth at 7 years and 8 months old. Kaya, who we just mentioned a short while ago, got pregnant at age 7, giving birth at age 8. So some of our female dolphins here tend to be maturing a little bit earlier than what the norm says they should do. But on the other hand, we have one of our female dolphins named Orange, didn't have her first calf until she was about 12 or 13 years old. So there's a wide spectrum there as far as when they mature. And another thing you got to figure too, we're on the water time, and we could see Orange, say 3 years ago, and see her maybe 2 or 3 times a week and not see her again for 2 or 3 weeks. She may have been pregnant and lost her baby, and we would never know it. We just, did not see the baby by her side. So that's a possibility. But what we do know, she did have a baby at a late age of about 12 or 13. So to answer your question, the baby or the females will mature at about 8 to 10 years old in general. We're seeing an early maturity rate here with some of our females here at about 7 years old recently. In fact, one of my favorite dolphins out here is one of Halfway's offspring named Skipper, born in 2013. Skipper is one of our rescued dolphins, survived a shark bite, survived a fishing line entanglement, and is turning 7 years old as a daughter of Halfway. She's been courted by several males here this past fall. So there's a good chance that that Skipper may be getting pregnant this fall and giving birth just like her older sister Kaya did at 8 years old. So I'm going to keep an eye out for Skipper having a baby next year. And again, to answer your question, at about 8 to 10 years old would be the maturity period on average for a female dolphin.
So Bob, we do actually have a number of questions, unfortunately more than we have time for.
Sure.
In the Zoom talk. What I'd like to do is I'll read one more to you, and then for our listeners, our participants, what we'll do is we'll give Bob these questions, ask him if he would help us by writing the answers, and then we will send the answers and the questions out in email to everybody so that you can see the answers to the questions that we're unable to handle during the Zoom talk, okay? So I'll give you one more to take right now, Bob, and it was actually the first one that we received. Why do you do the studies that you do?
Super, good question. So, pardon me. Why do we do this study? I'll bring up 2 points to you. 2 years ago, we had a very, very serious bout of red tide. So from North Collier County all the way up to Tampa Bay, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of animals died because of the red tide toxins that are coming along the shoreline. More than 600 dolphins lost their lives, about 800 manatees, countless number of sea turtles and fish. I mean, there are certain areas out in the Gulf where nothing was surviving. Now, those 600 dolphins that lost their lives, Were they mostly male or female? Were they younger dolphins, older dolphins? Nobody knows. And so there's no studies going on in a good portion of the coastline up and down Florida here. So nobody knows what portion of the dolphin population was lost. Was it 10%? Was it 80%? By keeping records the way that we do down here, if something does go wrong, we would be able to tell you if it's affecting the male population, female, the young, the old, and we can do some good things that way. Also, you may recall the BP oil spill. Lots of dolphins along the Gulf Coast of Florida lost their lives because of the oil spill. And once again, nobody had a record on anything going on up there. So we don't know what population portion was lost or percentage was lost. So if we have an issue down here, I know that we've got 108 dolphins that kind of roam this area. And if we have an issue down here health-wise, we'll know if it's affecting, again, the males, females, young, old. And I actually have, a couple of theories on my own. We mentioned Wrangell had a baby last year named Piper. Wrangell got pregnant in 2018 when that red tide was down here. Piper was only alive for about a week. Sometimes it's not unusual for animals to have a toxin introduced to their bloodstream. And if that bloodstream, basically the mom will pass that on to the youngster, and also through mother's milk. There could be some transfer of toxins as well. Could be another possible cause for babies not surviving.
Great. That's great, Bob. Well, thank you. Perhaps you could stop sharing your screen. Can you do that for us? Let's see.
Okay, folks, thank you very much. And hopefully I'll see you again soon. We're talking about another presentation, maybe under the stars sometime in the near future.
Okay, so thank you so much. That was absolutely an excellent presentation, as always. Before you all start jumping off, let me just say that, and I didn't introduce myself. I apologize. My name is Pat Rutledge, and I'm the Executive Director of the Marco Island Historical Society. And we're here to protect and share our history. That is what we do. But we can't do that without your help. If you're a member of the Historical Society, we thank you so much for your membership. You're at the heart of what we do. If you're not a member and would like to have more information about becoming a member, you can certainly just visit our website at themihs.org and learn all about the benefits of being a member of the Historical Society. Bob mentioned his wife, Kathy, a true superhero here on Marco Island. And thank you, Kathy, for all that you do. If you have a superhero or a loved one in your life that you would like to honor at Marco Island, at the Historical Society Museum, again, check out our website and look for our Bricks of Honor program. And it will tell you how you can honor someone who's important to you on the path to history. And finally, if you would like to help the Marco Island Historical Society continue to bring these presentations to you, these Zoom in series talks, think about helping us with a donation as well. All of this you can do at our website. And for that, we thank you in advance and hope to see you virtually or perhaps here on Marco Island when you're back. And yes, we're going to try and set up a Bob McConville Under the Stars this season. So we'll be working with Bob on that. So look forward. Thank you again, everybody. And thank you, Bob. It was great. Thanks so much for your time.